Hey, everybody. Welcome back to ParaMystic Podcast with Christina Bloom. I'm your host, Christina. And before we bring out our amazing guest today, I'm sorry, I'm looking down at my calendar here. I just wanted to let you all know that on February 14th, I will be in La Crosse at the Soul and Synergy Fair. I know it's been a while since I've been out to a fair, but that's going to be my first one out in a while. So if you happen to be in the La Crosse, Wisconsin area on the 14th of February, stop on by and I'd love to do a reading for you, a psychic reading. Then on the 17th, got a brand new class coming out. This is a class I played with some of my students years ago. I think 2020 when we were all online all the time. But it's called Energetic Hide and Seek, and it's a fun game that we play in connecting and disconnecting with energies of other people. So if you're up for a fun adventure, a fun class to take, I will be putting that information up today or tomorrow in the form of an event. Also, I have a mediumship practice coming up next Monday at 7:30 p.m. The Energetic Hide and Seek class is also at 7:30 p.m., and those are Central Standard Times. So I just wanted to let you know about when your name sounds like a nickname. Okay. All right. I missed something. All right. Anyway, so without further ado, let's bring up Mr. Jay Hill.
Hello.
Hi, Jay. Jay is the founder and creator of Studio 6 Media, a podcaster with 4 different shows, such as paranormal, spiritual, and music. He's a paranormal investigator as well as a psychic medium. Currently, he is focused on making documentaries about unknown historical locations and people. Jay has been working hard on raising funding for his documentary film company, History Behind the Shadows. He believes there are many stories just waiting to be told, and he aims to do just that. I can't wait to hear all about it.
Yeah. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, thanks for being here. So I don't know how much information you can divulge. I know I've been working on some similar type projects, at least by description, similar type projects. What can you tell us about what you're working on now? What are you most excited about?
I'm very excited about this. It's something that I put on the shelf for a long time. Just wasn't the right time. I'm still debating if the right time, but I thought it was when I posted all this stuff on my page. And I believe in telling the stories that people don't hear. And especially, it doesn't even have to be about the paranormal. It just can be life stories in general. But a lot of it has to do with history. And I'm like infatuated with the history of like Gettysburg and whatnot. And so I know that there's a lot of different stories involved with Gettysburg and the Civil War and whatnot. And I think that there's a lot of stories that need to be told. So that's part of my goal, is to be able to create this company so that I can do the traveling and do the investigative work. And I have a camera guy that who's all for it. He does a little thing on TikTok now. His name's Josh Hughes, and it's called Weird Wisconsin. And he's a very good friend of mine, and he's a very good cameraman, and he's got some great stuff on TikTok. So yeah, I'm taking it slow, but I'm really trying to find my footing and how to get my funding and this and that, because of the fact that starting any type of business or even filming is expensive, so it's kind of where I'm at. So
Okay. Yeah, I get that the funding thing can really be a kind of a bugaboo when you're trying to get kicked off and do something that's a real passion project.
True.
Sometimes that
So
can
that's
be
why
really
I kind of just sit and think, okay, is this the right time or is it not? So I'm just kind of just playing it by ear.
Cool. And what else are you up to? I know everybody was so excited to have you on the show, so they just want to hear you talk.
Okay.
Well, good morning.
I've heard that.
Yes. What have you been doing in the meantime while you're getting the funding together?
Not really too much. I've just been I'm working on a book actually. Um, I'm getting more and more ideas for my book every day. You know, I'm just putting all the pieces kind of together, and how I'm doing it, and it's a little bit unconventional, but I won't divulge that. It's just my own process of doing things, and it's kind of like an autobiography of my whole life and how, you know, God shaped me and how spiritualism has shaped me, and the ups and downs and trials of being gifted and dealing with the kind of stigmata of that whole spiritualism and mediumship and all that. So yeah, I'm just kind of taking notes and making different advancements in that. But other than that, you know, I'm just been kind of living day by day, you know.
Oh, yeah. That kind of makes sense. Well, not kind of. That actually makes a lot of sense, just living day by day. And I know what you're talking about as far as like the stigmata and all that kind of thing with the gifts that you're born with and
Hmm.
you know, growing up with. Did you grow up with them? Was that something that was part of your reality as a child?
Excuse me. I've had them my whole life. It was more or less, didn't quite know how to explain why I could see things or sense things or hear things, so to speak. I just just I used it when I needed it. You know, I was into the paranormal even when I was little, so it
Hmm.
was kind of like I'd kind of pick and choose. If my gifts kind of came through, I'd be like, oh, that's kind of cool, and I would kind of use that a little bit. But I wasn't taking it serious enough, and then there was some things that happened in my life that really made me take notice of how real those things were. And then lo and behold, I, instead of dealing with them and facing them, I kind of ran away from them. And,
Okay.
you know, I ended up, you know, doing alcohol, you know, drinking alcohol and drugs and all that stuff. I mean, it was, if I could run faster, I would have, you know, and I didn't, I didn't want to deal with life on life's terms was the basic answer. And everybody's always asked me that. Why do you do that? Or why did you do that? And I didn't want to deal with life on life's terms. I wanted to deal with it on my terms, you know?
I
So,
feel like you're telling my story.
yeah.
Very, very
Well,
similar story.
there's so many
Yeah.
other people that can relate
Yeah.
to similar
Yes.
stories that I've told, or even that probably you have told. You know,
Hmm.
there's a reason for that. That isn't by coincidence. You know,
Oh,
most
absolutely
people
not. Yeah.
who are gifted either A, don't know how to handle it, or B, um, don't do the research enough to deal with it. You know what I mean? They don't try to understand it. They just think that they know. And when you do the research and you do your hard work and due diligence of trying to accomplish the things in spiritualism and being a medium and all these other things, it is
Hmm.
not something that to be taken lightly, you know. And so I knew how serious it was, and that's why I ran fast. It caught up
Yeah.
with me in a very
It
bad
always
way.
does. It always
Hmm.
catches up with you. If that's your
Hmm.
path, it will catch up with you. Um, I,
I love Jamie Lynn
yeah.
Keller. She's the
Yeah.
best.
She is. I also want to say hi to Lisa. I didn't get a chance to say hi to her yet. So, hi, Lisa. Thank you for being with us. And his kindness is what got me hooked. That's where I immediately went with Jamie's comment was and
Yeah.
I've heard that about you because I probably met you in passing at Broadhead.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, I've been there a lot. I think you've been there a few times too.
Hmm.
I probably met you in passing, but never really had a conversation with you. So this is our first
Right.
actual conversation.
Yeah.
So,
Right. Right. Yep.
yeah, so I find it interesting that I can be in a room full of people, but I don't always meet all of them. And I think I don't. Is that true for you too? I mean, there were a lot of people there,
Yes.
but
Oh yeah.
yeah,
Yeah. 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 I mean,
yeah.
I've met people that I've like they remember me, and to my chagrin, that I don't remember them, but I do
Hmm.
remember them eventually.
Yeah.
Even Gwen, I took picture with her, and at that moment I didn't quite remember, but when I saw the picture, then I remembered that, oh yeah,
Right.
so
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in touch with people and talk to people, and do all that, especially in a big place like Broadhead. You can't talk to everybody, you know.
Right. Right. That's a lot of square footage to cover. Um,
Hmm.
I just want to address what Jamie just put up here. She's gifted as a rock. The only
I,
difference is if you throw me in a lake, I won't bounce. I don't
I
know
I
about
don't
you,
buy
but I
that.
disagree.
Yeah, I disagree too. Yeah, I don't buy that.
Yeah.
That is a choice. A lot of people don't realize that is a choice. We all have the ability to have gifts, but it's
Hmm.
where we decided that when we came to Earth to live our lives, it's the path that we chose before we got here. So a lot of people
Right.
don't realize that.
I
You
think
know.
it's also in how you define gift. We don't all
Yeah.
have the same gift,
Right.
right?
Right. Right. And I've always said this too, that no medium or no psychic are exactly the same. We're all
Right.
individuals. We may possess
Right.
similar, gifts and whatnot, but they're all uniquely connected to us, and that's what makes us
Right.
individuals.
Right. And I don't think all gifts show up as psychic necessarily either.
No, I don't either.
Jamie's gift just, very surface level. Um,
Hmm.
is organization. Like I was just going to bring that up. Lee just brought that up. Thank you, Lee.
Right.
But
She's
also
kind of like
Jamie's
the
other
glue.
she's a connector. She connects
Hmm.
people. And
Yep.
it's beautiful. Like, just because somebody may be a psychic, a medium, whatever, doesn't mean that they're good at connecting people.
Hmm.
Jamie is very good at
Hmm.
connecting people. One hit wonder. No,
Yeah.
you're not. Okay.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
I do like Lee's comment though. Jamie, if you get thrown in a lake, you're going to organize the heck out of that lake. And
Right.
that's
Right. That's funny.
absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I agree with you too, Jay, that, we are presented with these gifts and we get to choose what to do with them.
Hmm.
We get to choose how we respond to them, how we deal with them, how we use them to help other people or not. It's all choice.
Hmm.
And I was going to ask you, when you were a kid and you were having these experiences, did you think that was normal?
I kind of did. I mean, I
Yeah.
wasn't scared. You know what I mean? I wasn't. It
Mhm.
was more or less of knowing, and I had that kind of knowing early on, but more curiosity, because as I was growing up and seeing these things in organization, with my thoughts of what is this really why is this really happening? You know, um,
Yeah.
when you're a kid, especially with me when I was a teenager, when I saw my first full body apparition, I wasn't scared. I wasn't nervous. I wasn't anything. You know what I mean? It was like, oh, okay. So there some anxiety, or I wouldn't say anxiety. Was there some excitement or even a little nervousness of some of those things? Yeah, sure. I mean, I grew up when I was a little kid, in a house where I would have to go downstairs to do something, to grab something for somebody, whatever. And I would always play I got to run up the stairs fast enough as soon as I turn the light on so nobody chases me. You know,
Yeah.
I had that thought, like somebody was always after me, because I had dreams when I was real little of the darkness chasing me. And they, the dream itself, the dreams themselves, finally, after I went through puberty, the nightmare stopped, and that was kind of like the transitional phase for, men and women.
Mhm.
Sometimes people's gifts blossom, and sometimes they just kind of go in hibernation. Mine
Right.
kind of went the other way. So, but I realized that those dreams that I would have, the nightmares of being chased and I knew who it was, and or what it was, and it followed me throughout my life until I made that decision when I changed my life and gave my life to Christ and decided to go that whole route. And that entity was none happy.
Well, I'm
So
sure. Yeah.
yeah. so yeah. So I mean, there's and I've got that podcast of paranormal memoirs, and I talk about that experience with the darkness and what that entity was trying to do and this and that. But it was
Hmm.
just, it was a learning experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I bet. Yes. Lee wants to know if you have O negative blood.
I have no idea what type I am, to be honest.
Interesting. Okay.
Yeah, I think I'm AB.
I'll leave that stuff to y'all.
Yeah. No, I have I
Again,
have
it's a
to
choice.
I have to ground myself, and I have to protect myself daily,
Yeah, same.
before I even leave the house.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah. As soon as I wake up, I'm setting energy,
yeah.
you know. Yeah.
Mhm.
Um, what was it? I was just going to ask you something, and then she brought that up. But yeah, it is definitely a choice what we choose to do with the gifts that we have. When
Mhm.
I was a kid and having all these experiences, I thought it was normal. I thought
Yeah.
everybody had them. I
Mhm.
thought it because if I was having it, I'm just a kid. Everybody else must be, right? So that
Right.
was my thought as a child was everybody can do this.
Mhm.
This is just
Mhm.
normal. And to me, it
Right.
felt so normal. Why would I think otherwise?
Right. And it was easier for me to think that that was normal because of the fact that my sister, who was a year older than me, um, also possessed the same thing. So I just thought everybody had it, because it was more
Right.
normal. You know what I mean?
Right.
So even
Yeah.
though she would still say that she doesn't, but she does, and you know, so
Yeah. I have 2 brothers, neither one of them even wants to discuss it, but I know that they are both very sensitive to energies.
yeah,
So,
right.
and I feel like I don't know if it's a family trait or if it's, just we all decided to land in the same family. I don't know, but
No, my
yeah.
my gifts, I know exactly where they came from. So
Okay.
yeah, so it was kind of an eye opening thing, but once part of being gifted, a lot of people don't realize this, but part of being gifted is acceptance. You have to
Mhm.
first accept it within yourself that this is the way I am. Instead of
Yeah,
looking outwards and expecting everybody to accept you, you have to first accept yourself. If you don't, then you're you're fighting a battle you'll never win.
exactly. Bye, Jamie Lynn. Thanks for stopping by, sharing your energy. We appreciate that.
Bye,
I
Jamie.
I do want to offer to anyone who's listening, if you have questions for Jay, please feel free to type them in to the
Oh yeah.
comments and we can get them put up. Yeah, I know that you're a pretty open person, and I appreciate that. I
Hmm.
appreciate that you're
Hmm.
willing to answer questions and that sort of thing. Um, what is the most? I don't know how to phrase this. We all have different experiences all the time, especially with those who've crossed over with beings on the other side. Um, okay, so she's posting this for everybody. We're having a little problem here and there with StreamYard not getting your comments. If you don't see them pop up fairly quickly, please just message Gwen personally and she will get that taken care of for you. So thank you, Gwen.
Nice.
Yeah. What my question was, have you had an experience maybe with someone on the other side that stands out for you as being something particularly positive or particularly loving or something that really brought you peace?
I would have to say, um, a family member, but it has to either my grandmother or my mother. You know, they're
Okay.
with me all the time, so it's
Right.
just. It's that comfort. My mom has always been. My mom passed in 2007. She wasn't one to really believe in spooky stuff, but once she had passed, and after that, then she kind of got the whole aha moment. And
Okay.
so yeah, so I, every once in a while, if I'm doing something on, even with chores or doing something around the house or whatever, I sometimes can hear my mom chime in and say, why are you doing it that way? Or something along those lines. So yeah, so I kind of have that within my, in my ear with that, but I opted not to listen because it's too much. I can't focus my energy because of the fact that is extremely emotional.
Right.
I experience a lot of like sensitive, where some people are, you call them, oh, they're so emotional, there's so much drama, and it's not drama for me. It's just the emotion that I attract or experience around certain people.
Okay.
And sometimes it gets to be overpowering, and I kind of just have to shut that off. And a lot of people that are, gifted mediums or whoever say, oh, they can't shut it off. And it's like, it's not a matter of shutting it off. It's just a matter of redirecting your energy towards something reality, like, and a
Right.
lot of people don't do that. There are so many different avenues that people can take when they're experiencing and trying to manage their gifts, that that's why I always say, do your research, talk to different people, get different ideas,
Mhm.
different opinions, different things, and see what works for you, and what
Yeah.
benefits you as a person.
Excellent
So,
advice.
mhm.
Excellent advice. Lee wrote, during research, have you ever had a darn, I shouldn't have come here moment? And please tell the story.
Yeah, I think well, I was in my 20s, and this was before I had my experience with Christ, and that I was there for a reason. And I was with a girl. It was back in the 90s, and I was with a girl that I was moving in. We were moving into a new apartment, and um, when I first walked into this upper level apartments, um, I was getting all these horrific visions of blood on the wall, death, all these things, and people huddled in the closet, and I just was like, oh, it was overwhelming. And that was kind of like, and so at that moment I was kind of like, maybe I'm going to regret this. And I thought, so I reached out to my sister, because I knew that she could also experience certain things, and I wanted her to come visit this place to find out if I should move in or should I, she couldn't make it. We ended up, grudgingly, I decided we decided to take the apartment. Was it a bad thing? It could have been. It was very, I mean, I had interactions with spirits, opening doors, visually seeing people open doors, and I was talking to people I thought were there that weren't there. I thought it was my girlfriend at the time, and she wasn't there. And it was just, yeah, but a lot of negative emotions. And yeah, and that whole story is going to be in my book that I'm writing
Okay.
to. So yeah, I don't want to kind of give it away now, but I mean, you could also hear that small part of the story on Paranormal Memoirs, where I talk about that experience in that house. But there's more to that whole living there than it was just that experience. But yeah, I didn't regret it. I questioned it before I moved in, because I felt very uneasy, and I did kind of feel like, what did I step into? Because I wasn't where I needed to be at any
Right.
point. But regardless if you recognize your gifts or not, you are still your gifts are still going to come through. You can block them as much as you can, but if there's a reason for your gifts to be prevalent, it
Mm-hmm.
will show up no matter what you do to run away or to not pay attention or whatever. It's gonna show, hey, I'm here. It's like, banging on pots and pans to get your attention. So
Yes. Yes, definitely. Um, I think for me that the one way that intuition or psychic ability comes through for most people, whether they think they're psychic or not, is the gut feeling. You
mhm,
just get that gut feeling. And I think a lot of people don't recognize that as an intuitive thing.
right.
It's just a gut feeling. And I that's where I kind of start with people that I'm working with who want to understand their abilities, is recognizing the way it shows up.
Hmm.
And how does it typically show up for you? Is it like a feeling? Is it you get visions?
Right.
Is it hearing? What is the way that it shows up for you most powerfully?
All the above.
All the above. I would have
Yeah.
assumed that, yeah.
Yeah. I don't have any, uh, you know, any certain way. It shows up the way it shows up, um, and I've told people this too. It's like, I'm not typical psychic medium in that sense. I mean, I'm not like I don't go on a stage. I have, but I mean, I don't go on a stage and I do readings for the populace and the crowd.
Mhm.
I just don't feel that that's necessarily where I need to be. And
Okay.
I just wasn't, not that I wasn't comfortable doing it. It was, I can get up and speak in front of anybody, but it was just my ability and my intentions was to be directed more into helping people and to help certain situations and to help even the deceased who are still on this side that are haven't crossed, and you know what I mean. So I had to redirect a little bit of what I was doing, but um I people I don't know if you've had this. People come to you and say, what do you got or what do you see? I really don't like that because it's putting you on the spot, because
It
if you're
is.
not in that frame of mind, it's that's people are kind of like, oh, you can ask a psychic anything and they can tell you within minutes or seconds. And it's like, yeah, certain people, I'm not one of those people. And so it kind of like they come to me and they say, oh, what do you see or what do you got? And it's like, and if I wasn't even in their purview to be like, that's what they were going to ask, I was doing something completely, it's like being blindsided.
It
You know what I
is.
mean?
I agree
And
with
then
you.
I
Yeah.
then I feel like I'm forced to try to look into something that I had no precognition of seeing. Like when I get my messages, it's usually if I'm talking to you or talking to somebody else on another podcast or whatever, which has happened.
Mhm.
Um, uh, I will say, "Do you mind if I, inject in this here because I'm getting this from somebody sitting in, so and so, blah blah blah," and then it will resonate. Usually, that message that I'm getting is something like that's supposed to be there. And I
Right.
have this thing that if I don't see it, I don't say it. I don't make it up. I don't, if it's not there, I'm going to tell you I got nothing. If you say, hey, what do you
Yeah.
got? I'm going to say, nothing. And they're going to be like, well, I thought you were psychic. And it's like, it doesn't necessarily work that way. And people don't quite
Right.
understand that mediums and psychics are not Johnny on the spot all the
Right.
time.
And we're not
Unless
sideshows.
Right, right. And
We're
that
not
that is
sideshows.
and
So
yes, and that is why there's a lot of people that says, "Oh, psychics are bogus and this and that." Well, that's your opinion, that's fine. But we're also not like you said, we're not sideshows.
right.
I'm not out there to make money really just because of the fact that I just don't feel that that's where I'm at right now. I don't need to fund myself, with my gifts because my gifts carry a lot more weight than financial burdens. You know what I
Okay.
mean?
Yeah.
So I'm really focused on my gifts on helping people. I want to be able to reach out to people. So if there's a message that comes through, if I'm talking to somebody, I will ask them, do you mind if I give you this message? Or, I usually try to ask for permission, but
Right.
I just don't want to look into somebody just because they said, oh, what do you got? It's like, I'm not Johnny on the spot. And I had that happen once, or actually a couple times, but I had it happen to the point where I really tried to look and I really had very little information. And the only information I did get, it resonated with nobody, but I knew it resonated with somebody. And
Mhm.
I always tell people, if it doesn't resonate with you now, and you know this, it can resonate of 3 days, 3 months, 6 months, a year. You'll wake up and say, "Oh, no, that makes sense." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So, yeah, I mean, it's just there's a lot more to it than just telling people what the dead say, or what
Right.
the future is, and which I really don't talk about the future either. I'm just like, that's your choice. So,
Right. Well, in
sorry,
the
I'm kind
future
of going
too.
on.
Oh, no, I'm glad you are. I'm glad you are. People need to hear this, and it's all of the same things that I would have said in your position as well.
Mhm, mhm.
When usually, I don't know if I want to say usually, but pretty often when somebody does that, "Oh, you're a psychic? What do you see around me?" It feels
Right,
like they're trying to debunk you right out of the gate, you know?
right.
Like putting you on the spot, trying to debunk right out of the gate, trying to prove it's not real, playing some sort of test a psychic game, which I hate.
Yep,
That is my absolute least favorite game on the planet.
yep,
And I have actually gotten to the point of make an appointment, we'll talk, because I'm not going to play that game, you
right,
know?
right,
And it's not about the money, it's about that's rude, don't do that.
right, right,
You know? So,
right.
yeah,
I
I
would
get
show
it.
them that person respect. You know, I did a
Right.
small speaking event, um, and there was just a small group of friends and some people. I was telling some stories, and these drunk people came in there, and the one girl had just lost her sister, or whoever, or father, or whatever, and they thought that I was going to give them a reading, and I'm like, and they're like, well, what do you see, and what do you see around us? And I'm like, that's not how it works. I'm
No, it's
not
not how it
here
works.
to entertain you. I'm not here to, if there was a reason that you came to me and I had gotten something saying I was expecting you, then
Mhm.
maybe, you know, but it just,
Right.
yeah, it's just the whole idea of psychics and mediums and all this stuff, and to each his own. There's people out there that make money off of it, that do it because they want to help people. That should be the main reason. If you're in it to make money, get out of it. That's not where you need to be. That's just my
Right.
opinion. I mean, and if you want to help people, if you want to reach out to people, but yeah, yeah, sure, the notoriety is nice too, but how about helping people in a way that don't usually get that kind of help, you know?
Right. Right. How do you deal with a very religious person who says something to the fact that the Bible says you can't talk to the dead? You can't. I believe and know you can. Thanks.
Well, it's not funny, but I mean it's kind of funny because the fact that I'm somebody very close to me feels that way. Um oh no.
Did we lose you? I hear you. I don't
Yeah.
see you
Um
anymore.
no, I moved my computer. Hang on a second. Let me get my
Okay.
camera up. Oh, come on. Shoot.
It's all good. And we can still hear you. I just don't know where your camera went.
There we go.
There you are.
Yeah. So Yeah, like I said, I know somebody very close to me that feels that way. But my best advice is, and not to discredit anything in the Bible in that sense, because I read the Bible, and um I know what the Bible says. But when you've had experiences like I have with um intervention with Christ, and the religious aspect of that, I know in my heart that that's the way I feel. Um, I don't have this. I'm doing this for a specific reason. I'm doing this because this is the way. Um, I feel like I know that this is. I am. I try not to get in that debate because I'm not a debater and I don't do debates. But I try not to get into that person's head, and because there's a lot of people out there, and it doesn't even have to do with religion. It just has to do with something worldly or whatnot. There are certain people that see things in the meat and potato fashion. It's either meat and potatoes, and that's it. They look at things one way. It's kind of like black and white. But um, I don't entertain that. You know what I mean? I don't try to entertain that whole debate because they want to say, well, did you? And I have to ask them, did you ever think that there might be something else besides the whole expanding? The one thing that I kind of go back to too, and it's kind of weird because and this is a very light topic that I'm going to talk about, but if you've ever looked at the Bible and where the Bible was printed, or how it was made and whatnot, and all the books that were left out of the original book, talks a little bit differently about all of that. And
Right.
So who's to say that those books that were left out of the Bible were purposely left out? You know what I mean? Who did it? I mean, was it God that did it? Was it the person that was, creating the book? Who? So I look at it with kind of like an open end, like it's like opening a jar of nuts, and then you like eat these nuts, and then you know that you're going to want more, so you just leave the lid open and you're going to let it sit there. So there's so many different things that you can pick and choose from, but there's so many different things in the world today that people just want to pick and choose instead of looking at the broad spectrum of what it all encompasses. And that's part of doing research. Part of my biggest thing that I really love is I love theology. And there's a book that every time I hold that book, and it's a Christian theology book. It's just, there's so much great stuff in it, but it looks at different aspects of everything. You know what I mean? So it's kind of like you're not boxing in your ideas.
Right.
It just doesn't fit in a box. You have to be able to, I would say, come out of your comfort zone.
Right.
And
yeah, I agree.
With the ideas and the proof that I've experienced in my dealings with religion and the beliefs and the experiences, there has to be something way more out there in that sense that can encompass all this instead of just trying to box it into one or two lines in a book.
Absolutely. Yeah. That is a discussion I won't even have with people. I'm like, great, you have your beliefs, I have mine. Have a nice day.
Right. And I
I'm
don't
just
have
not even
anything
going to go
against the
there.
Bible either. I mean, I don't.
Yeah.
I love the Bible. It's great. I'm not going to pick and choose, but I'm also not going to. I believe in my heart that there's something way more out there.
Absolutely.
There's stuff. There's canons, and there's There's papers and there's things that we are finding, you know, in Egypt and wherever else they're finding all these different books and these different ideas, and there was a reason why these were written. Some of them may be really crazy or out there, but there's some that make sense to the existence of this and that and the other thing. It's like, so where does this fit in with what the Bible was written? I mean, is it so? It's all about structure. It's all about structure. It's all about control, and it's all about keeping things centralized. When you walk out of camp, you're either going to be attacked by a bear, a mountain lion, or whatever. I mean, so all those things are dangerous. So they said, no, stay in this camp and we'll keep you safe and this and that. I like to be able to voyage. I want to be able to know what's out there. I want to be able to experience what's out there. And
Absolutely.
that's part of life. It's part of learning.
Yeah, I agree. And, I've always felt like God is too big to fit in one box,
Yeah.
Way
that's
too
the
big
best
to fit in one box.
Right. Yeah. And that's what I keep going back to is I tell people, it's like our thoughts are not God's thoughts.
Right.
So who am I to say that this is right, that's wrong? It's like if you know the truth, when you know the truth and it's more of a knowing about something than it is about thinking about something, that's a whole different feeling, especially for somebody who's gifted. That hits totally different. You could see people saying, "Oh, I believe in this. I believe that." That's great. But do you feel it? Do you know it?
Mm-hmm.
And it hits different, and people don't realize that.
It does. And I've also noticed throughout the years, and I know I've been guilty of it as well. I don't know if guilty is the right word, but it's like you're raised with a belief, so you just believe it without question.
Right.
And I think that's where a lot of that whole you can't talk to the dead thing comes from, because somebody heard that in church or had it drilled into them in some sort of context, in church, out of church, whatever. But it can't be that way because it has not been their personal experience. And it's really about getting out of what we've been programmed for to honor our own experiences.
Right. I agree.
And I think that's just
I dealt with that. Yeah, I dealt with that when I accepted the fact of who I was. I was going to make a lot of people upset. And I struggled with that day in and day out, and coming out of the proverbial medium closet. I mean,
right.
When you're huddled in the closet and you're hiding and you don't want people to know, it's not an easy thing to deal with. You know what I mean? I've always told people, if you are experiencing that and you want to be able to grow your gifts or you want to be able to explore, surround yourself with like-minded people, because the people that are not like-minded are going to do just the opposite, and they're going to stifle you. And you can have those conversations with those people, but the more it's kind of like, you look at it this way. How many times do you have to hit your head against the wall to get the point?
Yeah.
It's just like, that's insane, because it's the same. You're doing the same thing expecting a different outcome.
Yeah, and exactly. Isn't that the definition of insanity?
Right.
Yeah.
And so you have to be able to trust yourself. And that's when I go back to saying that, trusting yourself is the first person you need to trust. Accept who you are as a person, spiritually and mentally and physically. Accept who you are. Don't expect outside influence first, because that does not work well.
Never. It does not ever work well. I completely agree with you.
And you
you
can
know?
get people that will tell you all what you want to hear, but the minute you get the person that doesn't tell you that and tells you the opposite, all of that surface things from what everybody was telling you, what you wanted to hear, will crumble in seconds.
It will. And that's difficult for people to deal with
Right,
sometimes,
right.
when you've built your whole identity around something and then a truth comes in that shakes that identity. I mean, we're kind
Yeah,
of going through that on a global scale right now,
right,
where,
right,
the identity of humanity, what is it? We're deciding that right now. What is the
right,
humanity identity? What is it? And
right.
a lot of people are very uncomfortable with the truths that are surfacing. And
Right.
I think that that's a good thing. That's where
Well, I
growth
mean,
comes from.
you can't fix something if you don't know it's broken,
Right. Exactly.
you know?
Exactly.
And I just think that it's just the way the world is now. I stay in my lane with that, and
Mhm.
I have my own personal opinions about certain things, but I don't discuss that with anybody. And I think that
Mhm.
it's prudent to understand of why, certain people would rather stay in their lane, and I being psychic and being, a medium and whatnot, and seeing where darkness lies and where the light lies, and it's just like those lines are becoming a little blurred. And
Mhm.
so I always have to step away from that and kind of just be like, I'll turn off social engagement, like Facebook and TikTok. I'll turn it off. I need to get away from it because it's infatuated with my brain. you know I
Yes.
mean, it's
Yeah.
just, or I should say my brain is infatuated with it. But it's just, yeah, you have to be able to ground yourself. You have to, and I ground myself every single day. I have to,
Mhm.
you know so.
Right. Yesterday, I did exactly that thing. I just did not look. I just
Right, I
didn't
just don't
look.
want to know. Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
I can't change it anyway, so why look? Why let it irritate me? Why let it, make me upset? Why cause me stress or anxiety? It's like, why do that to yourself?
Right.
My wife went to Kenya some years ago, on a mission trip, and she was there for like, I don't know, 2 weeks or 3 weeks or maybe longer. I don't remember. But when she came back, she said it was amazing to not have to look on your phone or to look on this or to, you were living in a third world country where things were more simple, and
Right.
traffic was simple, and eating was simple, and there was no outside stress. And when she came back, and she's like, it was night and day. And she's like, I realized that it was, how peaceful it was to be able to be in even a third world country where there weren't electronics and there weren't this and there weren't that. And she said it was crazy, but it took her a week to get back into the swing of things. And it's
Mhm.
like, so maybe we do need to unplug more so than we do to plug in. You know, maybe we need to take that time to,
Right. I mean, at the very least, take a break, you
yeah,
know, step back and just kind of go, all right, I need to be in the moment right now. Um, going to the UP this weekend, my phone will be lonely. Yep, exactly.
nice.
Uh, yeah, I do that a lot when I'm in the UP. I use my camera on my phone and that's it. I don't post. I
Right,
don't
right.
look. Just use my camera and then I'll post all the pictures later. But um, yeah, it's amazing to me that, I pick up this device and I've got access basically to the whole world. I've
Hmm.
got a camera. I don't have to carry a separate camera. I don't have to,
Right.
I went to England last year and I almost maxed out my terabyte of storage on my phone
Ain't that insane? That's
with
crazy.
pictures. Yeah,
Right,
with
right,
pictures.
right.
Yeah. So,
Yeah.
I can appreciate that aspect of the technology, and I can appreciate that, I do run a business. I'm a businesswoman, and um, all of my business is run online, all of it. You
Right.
know, there's so much of my business that even if it's an in-person thing, it's still advertised online. It's still
Hmm.
advertised through social media. And so where do you find balance in connecting with the people you need to connect with, say for your Studio 6 work, or to help the people who need help through your mediumship? How do you connect with those people?
Usually, spirit kind of guides me that way.
Okay.
Like if I'm on Facebook or I'm looking through something, like scrolling or whatever, and if I had an idea for a show or a guest or something like that, that person, I will see that person's face more than normal, and
Okay.
so it's kind of like, okay, so the more I'm seeing this person, and then I'll kind of reach into them and trying to figure out, what they have going on, and then I'll contact them and say, hey, do you want to be a guest in the show? I mean, that has worked, and I've also found my good friend Kelly Schaefer, who was with me with the Cemetery Files. Now, when I contacted her, I kept seeing her picture constantly. I'm like, okay, and so I took that hint, and then when I
Mhm.
contacted her, she thought she was going to just be a guest, and I said, no, I'm looking to be for you to be a co-host, and she was like, oh,
Right.
this wasn't on her radar at all,
Okay.
but it come to find out that we are actually distant cousins.
Oh, that's cool.
So our lineage goes back to, um, I think it's Germany. So
Okay.
one of our relatives lived in the same village. We were together, and and yeah, so far removed, but we're still cousins. We're still related by blood, and so that there, I know I seen that. I didn't know that at the time, but she thought something was really weird because she's actually uh, a gifted medium as well. But when she does her research, she's a good ancestral person. So she
Okay.
does like ancestry work for people. She's actually had spirits come through the tree to say, this is right and that's wrong. This is right, that's wrong. And when they found out information, they would be like, everybody thought that that's the way it happened, and nobody would know it. And when she came and said, this is the way it happened, and they were like, holy crap. And so, yeah, so she's really good at what she does. And when she found that's my line, said, hey, you guys related. And then she went back with the paper trail and found out that, yeah, we were actually cousins.
That's pretty awesome.
It is awesome. Yeah,
That is
she's like
pretty awesome. Yeah.
one of my best friends. I can't say enough about her. And so and that's kind of how I connect with people. And I can be not doing a show for a couple months or whatever, and then all of a sudden somebody's face will pop up on my feed, and or somebody will reach out to me and they'll be like, yeah, let's do this.
Well, that's how you ended
Or
up here.
yeah, I wanted to, I hadn't done anything, and I was trying to figure out, where my shows were going. I just didn't really have any interest. I was just going through some things, and then I posted that online and said if anybody needs a guest, and you know, and so yeah,
Yeah, that's how you ended up here.
yeah,
I saw you online. Um,
yeah.
so if someone wants to get a hold of you for, to reach out for help or to help you with funding your business, your documentaries, how do
Hmm.
people get a hold of you? What's the best way to get a hold of
Okay,
you?
so you can contact me um, through my email, which is spiritualrealms0101 at gmail.com,
Okay.
or on my TikTok is Studio 6 Media. Um, I have a link to my campaign right underneath my name, and I also have one on my Facebook page.
Okay.
There's also a link on
Awesome.
my, which is jd.hill.
Right.
So
Awesome.
Yeah.
Excellent. Thank you so much for being here and for sharing your wisdom with my audience today. I very much appreciate that.
Oh,
Do
it's my
you have any
pleasure.
do you have any events coming up you'd like people to know where to meet you at or anything
I
like
do
that?
have one. I think it's sold out, but I think I'm going to be at Broadhead in April with
Okay.
Chasing Paranormal and Brady Goebel, and so yeah, I think that's going to be in April. Other than that, I usually try to keep a pretty low key. People kind of wonder where I'm at, or they haven't seen me in this and that. So yeah, I'm kind of a private person. I have a very small circle of friends. I have a large outreach, but there's
Mhm.
a small circle, and I connect with people that I'm supposed to connect with.
Excellent.
So
Excellent. Well, thank you very much, and it's been a pleasure speaking with you today.
yes, thank you. It's been a pleasure being
Yeah.
here.
Excellent. All right, bye everyone, and I will see you again next week. Thanks for being here.